Welcome to Peppershock Media's Marketing Expedition podcast, keeping you up to date with the latest in marketing and advertising. Now here's your host, Ray Allen.
Welcome to the Marketing Expedition podcast. I'm your host, Ray Allen, President and CEO of Peppershock Media and founder of the marketingexpedition.com. And today we have with us Tiji Thomas. He is a client conversion coach and six-figure sales expert. He has been happily married for 23 years and has two amazing children. Tiji helps coaches and consultants get maximum results with their organic and paid marketing efforts. And he shows them how to get more clients from consultations and strategy calls. He has personally produced over $500 million in sales using his UnSelling System, which we're going to talk about today. He loves serving people and who love to serve others, and he enjoys teaching how to get more clients using his integrity-based sales approach. Welcome to the show, TG.
Thanks, Ray. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. So, okay, I just want to know, what's the secret to being married for 23 years?
That you have to marry as someone who's a better salesperson than you. No, I'm just kidding.
That's awesome.
And you said you had a lot of communication.
That's good. That's good. And you have two children. How old are they?
My daughter, actually, she'll be 21 in a month and a half, and my son will be 14. So yeah, they're getting big, 21 and 14, I would say.
Wow. Oh, it's 21st birthday. It'll be, yeah. That's always a fun thing. Huh. Well, okay, let's talk about the UnSelling System. What does that mean to unsell?
So I've been doing unselling for, oh my gosh, a couple of decades now. And I never ever had a name for it. I just was like, it was a question-based selling approach. And then I sat down with a pretty famous marketer one day. We were brainstorming what I was doing. He says, man, all you're doing is you're doing anti-high pressure. You're undoing all the bad things. So then we just said, well, unselling, right? So that's where it came out. It's unselling is anti-high pressure. A lot of times when people hear selling, there's a negative stigma attached to it of like the sleazy, car salesman type.
Yeah. Right.
Which really isn't fair because there's a lot of good car salespeople out there.
Right. Well, and they're necessary, right? We have to have them.
Exactly. So yeah. That image is stoked to people's mind. They hear sales. A lot of times people say, "Oh, I'm not a salesperson. I don't know how to sell." They think it's a bad thing, but it's actually a really good thing. So unselling just means anti-high pressure. It's an ethical way to get people to say yes.
Awesome. I like it. And you help other coaches and consultants do more of that for them, right? And so tell me about what your niche is and who you serve and why you serve specifically coaches and consultants.
Yeah, I work mostly with, it seems like the most of my clients are like the transformational coaches, people that are either doing like mindset, life coaching, business coaching, success coaching, but really anyone that sells via consultation, I can help. I mean, even if it's a realtor, accountant, it doesn't really matter. If there's a consultative approach to selling, I can help them. I used to work with salespeople, and I just realized that, salespeople, a lot of them like to just make money. They just, make commission, which is, there's nothing wrong with making money, right? That's really a lot of what was driving it was I need to make as much money as I can. And then I started working with some coaches as clients, and then I was realizing, wait a second, these individuals like to serve. Mm-hmm. They want to help people. And most of them were not good salespeople. They were just either passionate about what they did or just wanting to help people. But a lot of them were not really serving the market that they wanted to. So I decided to work with coaches and consultants more because, deep down it's that they want to help people and serve more. My unselling approach is really matching that because it's not high pressure. It's an integrity-based approach, which takes the sale out of the picture and you focus just on helping people. So yeah, that's why I always start working mostly with coaches because they like to help people, and that's really what the program is all about.
Let's talk about your background. Where did you come from? What gave you the right to be able to teach these people how to not sell, the UnSelling System? Give me like a path of what got you to where you are now.
Yeah, the funny thing is, if you look at where my degrees, because I went to university, you would think, wait a second, how does this guy ever know how to sell? Because my degrees were in mathematics and engineering.
Oh, wow.
Which are very analytical. It's not like, whatever philosophy or this or that where you're thinking a lot. but I've been a thinker. I like to think and I like to ask questions. So what happened was my first job was teaching.
Okay.
It was hard to get a job in Philadelphia, which is where I grew up. My wife's the Texan, so I came down to Texas, but I grew up in Philly, and it was hard to get a job. So I started working with these kids, and it was really cool. I was like, man, this is really nice. I'm not making that much money, but I'm enjoying what I'm doing. But little did I know it was going to change my future, because what happened was I was working in a special math program that uses something called the Socratic method of teaching, which means you could only ask questions. Not like some of the time, you had to ask questions nonstop. You were not allowed to make any statements at all.
Wow.
So it was a challenging program, but I was amazed because these kids, and when I say kids, I started with fourth, fifth, and sixth, but I eventually started going all the way up and teaching college level. And they were getting discoveries that would just blow your mind. I had kids in fourth, fifth, and sixth grade doing high level algebra, calculus, things that you would never see being done because, the way that was being taught, and they were discovering things on their own. So the beauty of questions came to me at that time. Then when I was selling, I just started asking more questions and asking more questions with depth, different types of questions, needs awareness questions, needs development questions, these type of questions to get people to start telling me a little bit more about what it is that they want. And that's why I look at sales. You don't have to use high pressure. If you care about people and really find out truly what it is that they want and desire, and your program or service is going to get that for them, well, they should buy. So.
Right. I mean, that's what I think. If they're sitting in the room or in a Zoom room with you, or, on a phone call with you, obviously they're interested in what you have to offer. It's just a matter of getting them from point A to point B and being able to close the deal. Right.
Exactly.
And your approach is really making it so that they kind of sell themselves. Right.
That's exactly. They're much better salesmen than this, than you, me, or anybody else that's doing the selling. When people can sell themselves.
Yeah. They're convincing themselves. I love that. Yep. So tell me about some success stories of people that you've helped, that you've served. I love that they serve. So you're serving the servers, right? So tell me something that's a story, if you will, that kind of highlights what you've done for them and how you've helped them.
Well, I mean, I guess there's a lot of, I've had so many people on to help. One situation that sticks out, he's actually a coach for couples that are trying to conceive. So he's actually, I forgot his title, but I guess
fertility coach or something.
Coach, but he's a fertility coach that is non-surgical. So he was showing me some stats, and over the last 20 years, he's been doing this. The success rate for conventional surgical was like 62%, being able to conceive, and his process is 77%.
Oh, wow.
So as great as he was only converting 1 out of 8 people. So still 8 people will come to him. And then I started talking to him, and I just started going through his process. And I have a specific process I have.
You realize that means 1 out of 8 people, that means babies, right? I mean, how many babies he's done.
Right. 1 out of 8 people that he consulted with to help, he'll help 1 out of 8. So 7 people said, no, I don't think you're going to help, even though you're converting higher, right?
Right.
So I had to make a few changes, right? And I said, listen, you're asking the wrong, because what he was doing, he was focusing on the feature of his program and how he helps people and the staff instead of the real reason. So the thing is, when people come to want to conceive, there's a lot of things behind it. And
Absolutely.
Sometimes it's not what people think. You may think, well, I just want to have kids, I want to do this, but it could be family pressure. It could be the feeling like a self-awareness and, feeling of, a doubt and I'm not good enough for this, or something wrong with it. It's emotional. So I had him start focusing more on finding out that, not the surface level, the deep why.
Yeah.
And his conversion rate went to 70%. So he's closing 7 out of 10 now. I just talked to him.
You're responsible for a lot of babies.
At least
That's awesome.
At least non-surgically. So
right.
So and I've got several stories like that where it's just simple things. And a lot of those people are like, man, I didn't know I could even do this. I just did. It was natural, because it is natural. So you're having I just show people how to have conversations that, but also there's limiting beliefs that people's mindset have as well. I have people overcome that limiting belief, maybe start, focusing on charging what they're worth, not letting people take advantage of them, and setting boundaries and things like that. So I do focus on that. And then I just show them how to have a conversation.
That's awesome. I like that a lot. So that is a good success story. That's unexpected. So for our listeners, how do you think they can get value from doing this UnSelling system? What do you think that they can see if they were to utilize your services?
Really, one of the things that I always tell people is most of every coach that I talk to, they have good intentions. They have good intentions. They want to do the right thing, and they just can't find people to serve. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes it's a commoditized industry, right? I mean, if there's a mindset coach or a life coach or digital marketer, there's a lot of people out there doing it. And
there are a lot out there.
Yeah, and you don't want to be you're talking to them and they're like, let me see who the cheapest is. Because you don't want to be known as the cheapest. You want to be known as the most effective, right?
I don't know if I want to go to a life coach that's the cheapest out there. That could ruin my life.
There's a lot of people that do. There's some people that do. But again, I tell people that's not your market. I mean, you don't want to go with somebody just caring about getting the cheapest life coaching. You want people that are going to get impact. So I always tell, my clients to make sure that they really sit down and really get what they want clear, get clarity on what it is that they want. And then look at how they've been doing it. And most often than not, people get excited. They don't always answer people's questions. They don't make them feel good about the process. And if they are wanting like A, B, and C, I want these three things, and then their features are focusing on D, E, and F, there's no congruence there. So I have a lot of my clients like listen to their conversations, look at how they formulate their outline or scripting, and make sure that the questions that they ask are focused on that person, just focusing on them. Now, before you meet with them, you want to establish some sort of credibility for yourself by letting people see testimonials, websites, things like that. But when that call starts, you just focus on them. Don't cut people off. I hear that a lot of calls, the coaches will cut the person off when they're talking. And I don't know about you, but me personally, I hate getting cut off.
Yeah, I know. I have to watch myself.
If I'm on T-Mobile or something and they start cutting me while I'm talking, people don't like that. So the prospective clients are saying, well, they don't want to be cut off. They want to be heard. They want to feel like the person they're talking to really, truly cares about them. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, it does become a commodity.
It does. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I don't want the cheapest life coach. No, thank you. No. So does the coach have a coach? Who's inspired you or who's helped you along the way?
I do. And I think all people, if they really focus on it, can't, because I've had some people say, oh, I don't need a coach. And I'm like, okay, well, if you think you're the smartest person in the room, and that cup is full, well, that's not always the best thing. So, I mean, even the most successful people out there, presidents have coaches, Tony Robbins has a coach. I mean, the coaches are just people that have experiences. And the way I look at it, it's somebody that kind of shortens my learning curve. So when I was first getting into learning how to do business, I would hold money close to my, wallet. I don't want to spend anything else. I want to learn for free. And now I'm like, man, if I had to spend $1,000 or $5,000 or $10,000 to get information that can potentially make me 5X or 10X, that I'd be more than happy to do it. So I do have people that inspire me. When I first came in, I was inspired by people like Zig Ziglar, Tom Hopkins, and there's a bunch of other books. One of my favorite books is a book by Ron Willingham called Integrity Selling in the 21st Century. So there's a lot of books like that I'll read, but I do have my own advisors and coaches and things like that I go to because I don't know everything. I don't have all the answers. Selling wise, I like to think I do, but there's a lot of other things other than selling that I need help with, right?
Right. Yeah. And when I got to listen to you speak on the veranda with Shelly Jorgensen, who is a queen at networking. She's awesome.
Yes, she is awesome.
One of the things that you said that I did, and I thought it was genius, is that when you go to a conference or you first listen to somebody or, even this podcast, what should you do? What did you tell people we should do?
Yeah, I tell people every time I talk, I do this. So what I say, and if you're all listening to Ray's this podcast, and you should definitely do this, you're going to get a lot of value, is open up your calendar now. If you have Google Calendar or iCal or one of those physical workbooks, date books, just take it and put 2 times into your calendar. And the reason that I came up with this, I was sharing with you earlier, was I'd run into people at conferences that were taking pictures on their iPad and taking all these copious notes. and they would never ever look at them again. And
I'm guilty of that too.
but because you do it with the good intentions, you're like, man, I really want to dig into this later. But if you have kids, you get home, kids have this issue, and then, oh no, I just found out before this podcast that our AC is leaking. So we have a big leak in the thing that we're trying to get somebody out there. So all stuff can happen, right? You don't expect.
Yeah, life happens.
And life happens. But if you do what I'm going to share with you now, then regardless of all that stuff, you'll find a way to get it done. And so I say take 2 dates in your calendar. One date can be like later today or maybe tomorrow. I wouldn't set it too far off. And the second date could be a few days after that. But the first date is what I call a review date. And you can make like, I would say an hour is really good. Block off an hour. And what you want to do is either want to listen to this podcast again or look over your notes as a review so you can kind of see what you talked about, what you jog your memory. The second date that you book is an implementation phase where you actually implement and do things. And here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not taking action, you are fooling yourself. You have to take action. One of my favorite sayings is that imperfect action always trumps perfect inaction. You just gotta do stuff, learn, make mistakes. Don't worry about getting your desk looking perfect and, your pencils all arranged and all that kind of stuff. No, just get into taking action, take action. So if you do this consistently with really any type of webinar you attend or conference or whatever, you're going to get a lot more value because you'll implement and do things that you learn.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I did do that. I scheduled 2 times from your talk last time. So, and I actually shared some of what I learned with my staff too, so that they could glean from me attending and listening to you speak. Then I can share it and, do some knowledge share with them as well. So
awesome.
that was my action too. So tell me, what are your goals and what are you setting the stage for after we come out of this pandemic and all the things that are happening with COVID? And like, what is it that you see is going to be your future in the next, let's say, 6 months to a year, 5 years?
So one of the advantages that I have is I was preparing, not for a pandemic, but I had prepared for working from home. I used to travel a lot. I used to speak on a lot of stages and do different things. And it was really tiresome. Now my kids have been homeschooled. So that way was kind of fun because we were able to travel to places like Indonesia and Thailand and Curacao and literally all over the world. That way we could teach them history by actually going to places. But at the same time, it was tiring. It was, especially when the kids were younger, especially my son, it was going through time zones and allergies and all that. So I always started preparing for a life outside of that. And it really has helped because all my businesses are online right now. Perfect. So I've been prepared really well for that. So, with each business I have, I've got different goals. Like I've got my own sales team. So we have goals set on revenues and hiring numbers and all this type of things. And then with the consulting company, I have a pretty big team as well. And we sit down and we just go over our numbers, our metrics, our goals, where we're at. A lot of it always comes out how many people we want to help, like how many people we're looking to help and get through a process and get to another stage. So, me in terms of the pandemic and being prepared, it's really helped that I was already doing it a few years beforehand. But now a lot of the conversation I'm having with my clients is revolved around getting them online and, it's new to them. It's new to people who are used to networking and talking to people and physically shaking hands and all that. It's a new world. And
right. Now we have to use our elbows or, fist bump or something, but
yeah, exactly.
We're not even at all, right? It's so hard. I go in to shake somebody's hand and I have to stop myself,
Yeah, I'm the same way. We haven't ventured out too much, but there's been a couple of instances where I had to just think, wait a second, I can't really do that. Yeah.
For sure. It's definitely going to change the way things are done. Has the pandemic affected your business at all in a positive or a negative, or is it kind of neutral, or have you increased the amount of what you're doing with people because of the pandemic?
There hasn't been any negative increase. I've done some different things. I've pivoted. I've done some summits and some workshops with some friends that I normally wouldn't do. So there's more collaboration, I guess. So with me, it's probably more collaborative type of things, more joint venture type activities. Nothing's gone down.
Good.
We're just, it's very, because I haven't looked to scale too much, like, because we scale within a certain way. So I would say it's pretty much the way that it's been. The things will be some of the business model, like the joint ventures and workshops and summits that I've done. That's been a little bit different.
The virtual workshops.
Yeah, the virtual. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's definitely shifted for us in that, and we usually do a culture and brand camp every year in person. So it's like an adult day camp, and we completely had to put it all virtually, right? It was a little bit different than what we normally do, but we made it work. And I think that's what we're seeing a lot more, or people are doing hybrid, right? There's people attending, but in small groups, but then they're also streaming it live. I've seen that happening a lot. We do live streaming, and have a switcher in video. And we actually just did a funeral, like live stream funeral, which is new. Like I never thought in a million years that that's something we would be asked to do, but it's definitely the sign of the times, right?
Yeah, my cousin is getting married. We were actually, before the pandemic, he had to get us to save the date, like around January or February. So we were planning on doing that, and then the pandemic came. But we just got an invitation for a virtual wedding. So I saw that. I was like, wait a second, that's kind of crazy. And then you start thinking,
you're going to do the chicken dance, like when it comes time to dance, right?
I don't know how that's going to happen. I think what they're doing is they're just going to have their immediate, like he's going to have his brother and sister, parents, and that's it. It's like nobody's going to be there except them, but they're going to
put it all on virtual, online. Yeah.
Is going to be. And then
they may have to have the reception later. Maybe it's just the ceremony part, and then they'll have the reception later. That's what my cousin did. Yeah. They just had a very small, and then now they're gonna. They moved the date to have the big, party essentially.
Yeah, once we get out of this, and my brother had a drive-by. I think they call it I don't know if it's a pop-up birthday or something.
Oh yeah, a drive-by birthday.
Yeah, my nephew had his birthday, and they had his giant signs on the front door, and so we just everyone, there's like a caravan of cars dropping off gifts. And he was spent 5 minutes with a mask, just saying hi from like 6 feet. That was
right from social distancing.
Yeah,
for sure. Well, that's good. I'm glad that they had a moment, right? We also did some virtual graduations too, because walking and being in too many people at a graduation ceremony, so we had virtual graduation, it was different, right? I mean, we played the pomp and circumstance music, and boy, that was stuck in my head forever, but it was good. It was a good moment to get them, the high school seniors, a way to still have their, ceremony and celebrate and kind of, do the cultural things that we do, but it's definitely different.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a different norm we got to get used to for a little bit, I think.
Yeah. So I want to know, how do you market your business? How do you get new business? Is it strictly word of mouth? Do you do any Google ads? What kind of things do you use in your business to help you get the word out there and get new clients?
Yeah, I used to do a lot of Facebook ads, but the cost of acquisition was basically going up. So we're actually doing, there's a couple of things we're doing. One is I'm doing a challenge. And we're just doing this kind of, this is a new model that we're trying just to kind of see how it goes. And we should be doing it in August.
Okay.
Sometime in August. We set the 10th, but I think it's going to get pushed back because there's a couple of things we're doing that's kind of bumping it back. But yeah, I do a lot of joint ventures, a lot of organic. I used to do, it really depends on the business. I've got one business that's all affiliate driven. So that's all affiliates are basically what drives it. I don't really have to do anything. It's just an affiliate driven model. My sales team is basically referral. We have a waiting list of people that want us to sell for them. So those are really simple. The consulting business a little bit, that's when we used to do a lot of Facebook ads, and now we moved to organic. So we do a lot of JVs, a lot of joint ventures, a lot of list building and doing things through the list. And that's actually been working out really well. The pay traffic was good for a while, and then it just got expensive and it just didn't make any sense, just to acquire a person that may or may not say yes, which is getting really expensive. So this way I have a big team. So the organic outreaches and things that we do seem like they're working pretty well without having to do ads at the same time. So.
Are you finding that email is increasingly harder to use and get through? Have you found that at all with what you do?
It is. I mean, for one of my lists, it's not that the open rates are still pretty high because it's in the health niche. It's not like internet marketers and digital marketers, things like that. But yeah, for the marketing overall, I've got still a pretty good reach, and I've got a good open rate and response rate. But it definitely has evolved. There's a lot more skepticism, and people getting hit by a lot of offers, and so I'm more targeted when I use it. But yeah, it has changed a lot since when I first started doing it years ago.
I've seen that happen too. It seems like it's kind of starting to slowly die a little bit, but have to make up other ways to do it. LinkedIn seems to be doing pretty well. Have you used LinkedIn a lot?
I have. I'm newer to LinkedIn. It hasn't been a lot. I'm probably 6 to 8 months that I'm using it, but it's been working out pretty well. I do outreaches on there, and that seems to be going pretty well. It's still new. I don't have as much data on it, but I'm excited about the future of LinkedIn.
Yeah, me too.
Because it's a different audience than Facebook. It's a different audience.
Well, and it seems like a lot of people will be on LinkedIn because they'll be looking for jobs, unfortunately. And so I think LinkedIn is definitely going to be used a lot more than before. Yeah.
I've had a lot of people reaching out to me looking for employment. I actually had an interview this morning as well. And it's a different type. Like I've had people reach out from Facebook to work for me. And then from LinkedIn, it's just different types of people. It just really is. Yeah, it seems like I'm running into a lot of SaaS people on LinkedIn lately. A lot of people that are used to a certain regimented type of routine and schedule. And almost everybody on LinkedIn wants to have base. Like I hire a lot for my sales team, and everybody from Facebook would be happy to get a job. And everybody on LinkedIn wants to have a base and this and that. So it's just different. It's a different, approach with a mindset. But you can get clients on both of them. Really just depends who you're looking to target. That's why targeting is so important. Having your avatar dialed down is super important.
Yes, indeed, for sure. One more question. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. How can people get a hold of you? How can they find out about what it is that you're doing? And I think you also had something that you wanted to gift our listeners.
Absolutely. So I don't know if you're going to put the link somewhere else so they can get it, but there is a link for a free gift. So I released this course. When I first started doing UnSelling, there was this gentleman that I met who was a super, super successful marketer. He had made over $150 million, using old school marketing tactics and techniques, direct mail, fax on demand, physical books and things like that. And he had a hardcore sales team that used high pressure. And he was telling me about it. And I started telling him what I did. And he was like, oh, that's not going to work. I've been doing it this way for all these years and we're making good money. And I'm like, well, how do you feel about what you're doing? I mean, it's not really the best way to say it. He goes, well, that's where we're trained. That's what we did. So I actually started sharing with him what I did. And I told him to implement certain things. So he implemented, and his sales team had more revenues than they ever had implementing what I did. But I taught him. So
you had to basically reverse engineer, so see, that's where the math and engineering comes in for you. You can reverse engineer what people are doing.
Exactly. So then he said, listen, can I interview you? But I want it to be raw. So he did a 4-hour interview. Now I did it over 4 weeks, but we did record it in 1 hour, but it was unscripted. There's no script to it. And I called it deep dive audios. So I was selling this for like $1,000. And people loved it. They loved it because I got them it was good audio that little they could listen to these audios and create a 6-figure income. But I also included some manuals and PDFs and things like that with it. So as a gift for your listeners, I've got a link. It's www.unsellingtraining.com/free/gift. So hopefully there's somewhere you can put that so they can just click on it. But yeah, so if they click on that, they're going to go to an order form. This is a live page, so I don't want you to pay the $9.97. So you have to put the promo code POWER, POWER. If you do that, you get it for free.
That's awesome.
But use it. If you get it, don't say, oh, okay, I'm just gonna add this to my stack of free gifts. So I'll tell you that if you listen to it, and it is audio, so it's not like you can watch it, right? Put it on your iPhone or iPod or whatever, everyone's using nowadays. And I have people tell me they listen to when they go for walks, when they're on the treadmill, when they're riding the bike, and they just like, oh my gosh, it's been amazing. So listen to it, definitely let me know. if anyone wants to get hold of me directly, especially after you listen to it and give me feedback, my email is Tiji, which is TIJI at UnSellingSystem.com. So that's my email that I check. So if you have any questions, if you want to know a little bit more about what I do as well, you can let me know. But take advantage of the gift, listen to it, and just let me already know how it worked out for you.
That's awesome, Tiji. Thank you for doing that. And I'm going to do it too. I'm going to go and I'm going to go listen to those audio books. That's awesome. Thank you very much for your time and sharing your inspiration and knowledge and all the things that you have done in your path. And I think it's definitely worth following you and doing more with you. So thank you for your time doing that, Tiji. I really appreciate it.
You bet. It's been fun. It was great. Thank you so much for having me on your show, Ray.
Awesome. And for the listeners out there, if you haven't yet visited themarketingexpedition.com, you can listen to this podcast and many others, as well as get some downloadables and some marketing inspiration and ideas to help you in your journey in getting more marketing and building your brand and your bottom line. So go to themarketingexpedition.com, and thank you for listening. And until next time, enjoy the journey.
Thanks for listening to the Marketing Expedition podcast. Find more online at Peppershock.com. Wouldn't it be great if there was one place you can go to get all the latest information and tips about marketing and advertising? The Marketing Expedition community is that place. People like you gather in our online community to build relationships with others and find the latest marketing trends, tactics, tools, and technology. We help you build your brand and your bottom line. Start your adventure today. Visit themarketingexpedition.com to find out more.